CTV News at 6 with Hudson Mack.
Good evening. More than 500,000 fish have been destroyed and 2 BC fish farms have been left reeling after being quarantined over the past week. But consider this, if those outbreaks of disease in the food supply had been kept hidden from you, would you like it? And if anyone speaking out about them or reporting on them was fined, would that be appropriate? Critics say the province is proposing just that if there's an outbreak of an agricultural-related disease. CTV's Andrew Johnson reports.
Mainstream Canada has culled more than 560,000 fish from its Dixon Bay farm near Tofino after an outbreak of the IHN virus. But what if the outbreak had occurred on land, like the bird flu that swept through the Fraser Valley in 2009? Critics say in that case, the province's new Animal Health Act would keep all of us in the dark.
It almost implies that it would be anyone who would find out about a disease outbreak would be breaking the law to disclose that information. So who would that include? It would include reporters, it would include independent scientists, it would include neighbours.
The Liberal government wants to update the Act for the first time in more than 60 years, making changes to improve disease prevention and detection. But one section of the Act overrides BC's Freedom of Information Act. Part of it reads, a person must refuse, despite the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, to disclose information that would reveal that a notifiable or reportable disease is or may be present in a specific place or on or in a specific vehicle.
If a disease is reported by a farm to the government, that information will be private. It will not be disclosed to the public, from what I read in this bill.
BC's Information and Privacy Commissioner has sent a letter to Agriculture Minister Don McCrae asking that Section 16 be removed from the Act, and so has the CEO of the BC SPCA. Communications experts are asking questions of their own.
My reaction is one of alarm. Is this in the public interest, or is this in the interest of agribusiness? Is this the interest of the government? I mean, who precisely benefits from a provision that asks us not to talk about something?
Minister McCrae says the wording of the section is fine the way it is and does not imply the public and the media can't legally identify the location of an outbreak. He does admit the decision to go public will now be made only by the government and the affected farmer.
Ministry staff will not come forward and talk about what we are starting to learn, especially when we don't know the full story. We want to make sure we have all the data.
He says the province has no choice if it wants farmers to be honest about an outbreak.
When people start worrying about how they feed their families, whether it's their children or their wives or whomever, you know what, maybe they start making decisions that aren't always ethical or appropriate.
The updated Animal Health Act is still being debated but is expected to be passed into law by the end of the month. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Victoria.